the apostles.
And I found several listings where the real apostles wasn't capitalized.
Okay.
I didn't write them down,
But Becky said after class, she come up with the idea, and I think because the difference, but we looked up, the word apostle in Greek, the word they use for apostles, meant messenger, but the ones who were had all the gifts, they were the ones who were chosen by Jesus himself. That made the difference. When they were all messengers, they were the special messengers. The ones who were chosen by Jesus. And
Hey, Bertram,
yes, sir.
I made a mistake, on Bill's teaching here last week. On a 7-day journey, and I said a quarter, but when I got home, I looked in my book, and it's 3 quarters.
3/4.
3/4 of a mile, 7-day journey.
Okay. We are still in Mark chapter 2. We're down somewhere around verse 18. Where they asked Jesus about fasting. It says, John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting, and they came and said to him, why do John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? And Jesus said to them, while the bridegroom is with them, the attendants of the bridegroom cannot fast, can they? So long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. But the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast in that day. Let's stop right there. Because it kind of switches just a little bit to a different. But like he's talking about the Pharisees themselves. But what is fasting?
Going without too much to eat.
Going out too much to eat? Is it simply just not eating?
In some cases,
Laying
don't eat
something
much.
aside to worship.
Laying something aside to worship? Okay.
Giving up something.
Giving up something to worship? Okay. Well, there's a reason we call breakfast. Breakfast is you break the fast. You haven't eat all night. Well, now some of us gets up in the middle of the night and find something to eat. But most people, after they get to eat supper or dinner today, people call it dinner. I told somebody a while back, I said, don't say that Jesus ate the last dinner, it's the last supper. But anyway, that's the most, between supper, dinner, and breakfast, they don't eat anything, and that's a fast. And that's because you didn't eat anything. And when you eat breakfast, so you broke the fast. That's how it got that name. But anyway, it's giving up something, most commonly not eating. A religious fast is not eating, and also devoting your time to either praying to God or worshiping God or doing something for God. Now, my little commentary at the bottom of my deal said that the Pharisees practiced this twice a week in that day and time. And for they jump up and ask the question, we're fasting and John's disciples fasted. Why aren't your disciples fasting? Jesus said that they got the bridegroom was there, that the feast is going on right now. But
They're always watching somebody, see what they're doing, ain't they?
yeah.
The Pharisees. Them.
And sometimes it's Sadducees too, they watch each other, to some degree. But I'm gonna turn you down, you ain't done much, but anyway.
Virgil,
Yes, ma'am.
can you refresh my mind on the difference between using the term disciple and using apostle, because you have used both?
Okay. A disciple is everybody that is a follower of Christ, a Christian disciple. And you can call people who follow a political party a disciple of that party, but a disciple is really a follower.
Did we ever say the 12 disciples of Jesus?
Yeah, they were disciples, but they then became apostles. They were his followers, and he picked them out special, and then they became apostles. They became the messengers. But everybody that followed him were, including us, we are all disciples.
We're called to make
We're called
disciples.
Christians.
Do what now?
We're called Christians though today.
Yeah, Christians today, but we are disciples. And as far as the term disciple, I mean, but the apostles were the ones who were sent. They were messengers. That's what we talked about last week, the word. So I guess really, technically, if you wanted to speak in Greek, we send somebody to here or over yonder somewhere to do preaching. He's really our apostle. He's our messenger. We send him over to do that, you know.
I'm
But,
just thinking when I've taught children, they always talk about the 12 disciples of
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
You know, they don't say apostles. They say
Yeah, well, they all became apostles, but they,
But I don't think children understand
No.
the difference of being in one and changing over to
Yeah.
the other.
but being, even after they became apostles, they were still disciples.
Hey, Roger,
Yes,
they, back in the, done without food for a while because they're disciples,
yeah. Because they were fasting, yeah,
spiritual reasons.
yeah.
Aren't they just referred to as the 12 sometimes?
Sometimes they're just referred to as the 12, yes. And in fact, he sends out the 12. And they all go in and do preaching. And he sends out, later on, 70, is that right? They go out and teach and preach. So Jesus didn't do all the teaching and preaching while he was on his ministry. He sent others out to do the teaching and preaching.
And it was a very specific title and role that was given. Then in Acts chapter 1, we see them find somebody to replace Judas
Yeah.
after he kills himself. And he has someone replace him to that specific role.
Just that specific, oh,
The
yeah,
Holy Spirit is the one that ultimately does the big.
yeah. But there is, I say, they were all disciples, but they were 12 were chosen who became apostles. And Matthias was chosen to take Judas' place, and then I think Paul, one place refers to himself as one chosen out of time, you know, and later, and he was directly asked by the Lord, you know, in vision and or whatever you want to say, you know, they came to him and blinded him and talked to him and also gave him instructions on what to preach and what to say.
They also had gifts. that
Yes,
We don't.
they all had gifts, yeah. Right.
Healing and all that stuff.
For what we can determine about the gifts, the apostles had them all, but whenever they bestowed a gift on someone, they got whatever gift the Holy Spirit deemed that they were needing for that area, and they only got one. As far as what we can of it
They
didn't
couldn't
cost.
pass it on.
Yeah, and they couldn't pass it on. So the gifts all ended somewhere. It all depends. There's two different theories on it, but it's only making about 20 year difference. Someone said the gifts ended when the last person died who had a gift bestowed on them, and others want to say that it ended whenever the Gospels and the writings were complete, which is when John wrote the last letter or the book of Revelations. You're only talking about 20 or 30 years difference at the most anyway. So, and it's a long time before us, so we don't have to worry about it. Yeah, we don't have to worry about it. That's the two different thoughts on when the gifts ceased. Because Paul said when that which is perfect is come, then that which is partially done away with. Then he goes on in verse 21, 22, says, no one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, otherwise the patch pulls away from it, the new from the old, and a worse tear results. No one puts new wine in old wineskins, otherwise the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is lost, and the skins as well. One puts new wine into fresh wineskins. What's he talking about here?
I guess they didn't have bottles back in those days. Had to put wine in the skins.
If you've got an old King James, it'll say bottles. Janice is not here tonight.
Yeah, I've got King James and it does say bottles.
It does say bottles, doesn't it? Well, that's when I was, that's all anybody had was the King James, and I couldn't understand about the, because, you know, at home, we washed out jars, you know, every year that, and Mama used to recant stuff again the next year, and we put new stuff into those old jars. But it wasn't talking about jars, it's talking about skins.
Yeah, it says bottle.
When talking about pickles, it's talking about wine.
Yeah, talking about wine, yeah.
It sounds like what he's talking about there in those two verses, something new has come.
Something new has come, and you old dudes that's he's talking to, y'all just set your ways, and it ain't gonna work with you, because y'all ain't gonna let it. That's basically, you know.
You have to try to bind it on
Yeah,
something.
you're trying to make
That's
it.
old.
Yeah,
Well, the whole purpose of the fasting was to get closer to God. You're removing all your distractions.
yeah,
You're focusing fully on Him. And His point here is, I'm with them right now.
yeah, I'm with you right
They
now.
have no need to fast and put that focus because they're with me 24/7.
Yeah,
And so he's speaking in terms of that he's not going to get crucified for this yet.
yeah. Okay. Verse 23. And it happened that he was passing through the grain fields on the Sabbath.
Virgil, what's he
Uh-oh.
talking about 21 and 22? What's he actually saying?
Well, I think what he's trying to say is that he's talking to these Pharisees who are set in their ways. If they don't, if they're not going to accept something new, then it's not going to work with them, because they understood the part about putting new wine in the old skin, because you got to put it in something new.
Is Jesus saying that he and his teachings can't be grafted into the old? Is that what he's saying?
I think so, yeah. The new part won't completely agree with the old. He's going to complete the old, but the new does not go along with the old.
Well, the bottom line is that the old wine skins were already stretched to their maximum by the old wine
Yeah.
that was in it. You go and put new wine in there, and through the fermentation process, it's going to expand.
Yeah,
And so as it expands, then that wineskin that has already been maxed out as far as its stretching ability is concerned, is gonna break.
yeah,
And it's not gonna stay. And the implication is concerning the coming new covenant and the coming new kingdom is that they were not ready to accept the
yeah.
new stuff because they are full of the old.
Still below, yeah.
Today, you can't mix the two.
We don't mix the two, do we? You know, there's still lots and lots of people who want to take parts of the old, parts of the new, and mix and match. Take the parts they like and leave out the parts they don't like, and try to make it all work together, don't they? But when we talk about many times when Jesus, the last thing he said on the cross was it is finished. He didn't necessarily just mean I'm dead, I'm passed away. He meant I have completed the old law is complete. I'm finished. I've done all the work I'm supposed to do. It's all been completed. And but even as we read through the book of Acts and even all the letters and the scriptures, the different locations. The Jewish Christians had a very difficult time still sorting out the old from the new. Even though they accepted Christ, they had obeyed Christ, yet they had been grown up in this old traditions, and they kept wanting to bind part of that on. That was a lot of trouble in trying to bind the old on the Gentiles.
That's what the book of Galatians is all about.
Yeah.
And they, even with Christ, they were, and Hebrews is about this, from the standpoint that they were turning away from Christ because they were putting Moses back into the place of authority, and as a result, they were denying Christ completely. They were abandoning Christ in order to go back and follow Moses. And that's where they were losing their salvation, is because they were abandoning Jesus and going back to Moses.
Yeah.
Hey, Virgil,
Yes.
Romans 10:4 says, "For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believes."
Okay.
I think it's important too, though, in Matthew 5, Jesus said that he wasn't coming to abolish it. He was coming to fulfill it.
Yeah.
And so there were still going to be, and he goes through and he begins to deal with the 10 Commandments. And he said, the old way was, thou shalt not do, but I say. And then he, made it more about the heart.
Yes.
Than the actions.
Yeah.
As a seamstress, when you have an old piece of cloth, okay, or a pair of pants or something that gets a hole in it, and you want to patch that hole, if that cloth that you put that patch on is old enough, you will never be able to patch it with the new cloth. It will continue to tear below the patch. It will never, ever go together. So you couldn't mix old and new cloth, is what I'm saying here. Again, I'm sure the meaning is about the old law and the new law. You can't fulfill both of them. You can't be a part of them. Jesus has already taken care of the old law. It's gone. So now let's concentrate on the new law, because it's not going to work for you trying to do both of them. It's not, you're not going to be able to do it.
You still have lots of people today who want to claim Christ, but they want to hold on to the Sabbath day, which is Saturday. Or another one called Sunday, the Christian Sabbath, but the Sabbath was a day of rest and all different things. They was requirements on that were not on us today. And of course, they failed to go back and look at the convention or conference, I believe that'd be a better word, that they had when they was in Jerusalem, and when the discussion was about, because the Jewish Christians wanted to apply the old law and circumcision and all that went along with it to the Gentile Christians, and they had a conference, and they even wrote, they made it, James, who we think is the brother of Jesus, he came up with he's the one that put forth the idea that there's just 4 things the Gentiles need to do out of the old law, and we never told anybody to do these things. And so they even write a letter to the people. What were the 4 things that Gentiles had to, we have to worry about out of the old law?
Blood. One was blood.
Yeah, don't take blood. Don't eat anything that's been strangled. Don't mess with food, animals been given to idols. One more. Sexual immorality or fornication or whatever you want to call it, yeah. Well, it's the same thing, anyway.
Virgil, there's a dictionary in this Bible that I have, this big Bible. And
Okay.
It calls a bottle a skin bottle.
Yeah.
And it
Skin
shows
bottle, okay.
pictures. So if the King James is using the word bottle, it's probably referring to, the skin bottle that they use for the
Yeah,
wine.
but he just said just bottles.
But that,
But
they referred to those skins as bottles.
as
Yeah,
bottles.
okay. But,
So it's not like the bottles we're talking about. It was a skin.
yeah. But nobody explained that to me whenever I was a kid, and I never had to figure that out. So I don't know that I asked.
Well, and that Jerusalem conference that you're talking about in Acts 15, Paul's real assertion to them was that you're trying to bring back the law that neither you nor
Yeah,
the Gentiles were able to keep.
yeah. Yeah. Nobody's ever keep up this thing.
I'm not sure I wanna drink out of that kind of bottle.
I'm not sure, well, in that day and time, sometimes that was the only thing that there was, the whole liquid, the skin. I've heard of using the bladders out of animals,
It said the greatest leather bottles were made from the skin of a goat,
skin of goat, okay?
and that the skin of a kid, the baby goat, was used for water and stuff like that.
Okay,
I need to correct myself. That wasn't Paul that was speaking, it was Peter.
Peter, okay? James is the one who came up with made the solution, I guess you'd say.
Right.
And they and the Holy Spirit agreed with it, they put it. And so, Carol, you wouldn't drink out of,
I said, I'm not sure, I'd have to be really thirsty.
if you're too thirsty, okay? Kinda like, Mark Lemons, I think, was lost some rattlesnake meat, has been cooked, and he was gonna eat all right, but I'm not gonna partake. Don't think there's anything wrong with it, I just, it didn't sit well with me, but.
You can help rattlesnake hunt up at, northwest,
Yeah,
by Enid, and, they cook them after people talk.
we're not gonna worry about me eating them, cause I'm not gonna be there till lunch, start out with.
Well, I tasted one, but I didn't eat it.
Hang on, I'm gonna look